Hi everyone, so today I've got a lesson for you on 8 common English learner mistakes. And I'm sure these are some mistakes that you make yourself. If you're from an Arabic speaking country, if you're from Indonesia, China, Japan, a European country like Germany or Spain or France or Italy, I bet you make some of these mistakes. So keep watching. The reason I'm pointing out these mistakes is so that you can sound more like a native English speaker. These are some of the mistakes that make you stand out as a learner. So don't make any of these 8 mistakes and you will start to sound more natural, more native sounding. Okay, so we've got 8. The first one is I work in UK and in USA. What is wrong with that sentence? Can you tell me? Exactly. So with the UK and the USA, do you see what I've just said? In the UK. So you always have to put the before UK and USA. I'm from the UK. I'm not from UK. It stands for the United Kingdom. And with the USA, it stands for the United States of America. Now, the reason a lot of you English learners leave out the word the is because most countries in English don't have the. I went to France. I go to China. I'm going on holiday in South Africa. But certain countries in English always have the. Plural countries, the Netherlands, the Bahamas, and then certain other countries which you just have to learn because that is why English is so fun. There's always something to confuse you. So make sure you remember it's the UK and the USA, particularly because they're the countries that speak English. So you might go to those countries a lot or speak to people from those countries. Don't forget the UK, the USA. Number 7, we're going down, and if you notice there's one here missing. What is the final correction going to be? Wait and see. Number 7, so he's looking forward to see you. What is wrong with that? I hear it all the time. He's looking forward to seeing you. He's looking forward to seeing you. And why is there an ing on seeing? Because this word here, to, is a preposition. It's not the beginning of an infinitive. I like to eat chocolate. I like to go swimming. To go, in that sentence, is the infinitive. But look forward to, that's a preposition. Forward to, it's literally because you're going towards something. And that's why it's shortened. It's been shortened to to. It's not the beginning of an infinitive construction. You could also use a noun with I look forward to. I look forward to your reply. I look forward to your meeting, your lesson. I hope you look forward to my lessons. So remember, look forward to plus a noun or plus a verb with ing, a gerund, going, seeing, hearing. But don't use the infinitive. It will make you sound like you're an English learner. And that is what you want to avoid as you get better and better at speaking English. Next, we've got number 6. Informations and advices. So why am I putting this word, these words on the board today? Because information and advices are always singular. They are uncountable nouns. Information, some information. I would like some information, please. Could you give me some advice? They are uncountable, like sugar. I like some sugar. So foods are often uncountable. Abstract nouns can often be uncountable. Love, hate, interest, greed. You don't talk about greeds or interests. So uncountable nouns. Don't make mistakes on those. So get rid of these S's. We don't like S's on information or advice. If you want to talk about it in the singular specifically, you can use the phrase a piece of. So I would like a piece of advice. I would like a piece of information. But don't use them in the plural. Okay, let's look at number 5. She's really sympathetic. She's really sympathetic. This is a mistake that a lot of German speakers and a lot of French speakers make because there's a word in both of those languages which is like this word. But this is not a word in English. It does not exist. So sympathique is what they say in French. Sympathisch is what they say in German. But we haven't got a translation. What you probably mean if you call someone sympathetic is that they're nice, that they're friendly, that you like them. So instead of saying she's really sympathetic, say she's really nice, I really like her, she's very friendly. But don't say she's sympathetic, and also don't say she's sympathetic, because sympathetic means something different. Sympathetic means you show sympathy. And sympathy is, do any of you know what sympathy means? Sympathy is what you show to a friend who's just broken up and they're telling you, oh, and then she did this and I did that and then this happened. You feel their pain, you feel emotions with them. Literally, because that means suffering, pathos from the Greek to suffer, and sim is from sun, which means with. So you suffer with someone, that's sympathy. But she is really sympathic, don't use it. She's really nice, she's really friendly, I like her. Okay, number 4, eventually equals possibly. No, it doesn't. So eventually does not equal possibly. We're going to get rid of this. In Spanish, Italian, in French, in German, there's a word with the root eventuel, eventual, this bit here in English, which means possibly, but in English we don't mean possibly when we say eventually. We mean eventually it will happen, which means after a certain period of time it will happen. So it actually points to a certainty rather than a possibility. Are you going to do your homework eventually? I will do it after a certain amount of time. I won't do it quickly, but I promise you I will do it eventually. I will do it after a few hours. I will do it in a few days. So maybe not the thing to say to your parents or your boss when they say, have you done your work yet? Oh, I'll do it eventually. Doesn't sound very efficient, but eventually it will happen. There's a certainty it will occur, but not that soon. Don't mix those two up. Eventualmente, eventuel, eventuellement, not the same thing in English as eventually. Don't forget. Number 3, it's a lovely touristic city. So touristic is a word in English, but no one uses it except for scientists maybe, or not even scientists, people who plan city infrastructure. And unless you work in the mayor's office or you work for the council, you probably don't like planning city layouts, the structure of the city. And touristic is just a technical word that nerds use, and you're probably not a nerd. So, touristic, don't use it. If what you mean is a positive sense, it's a lovely place, a lovely city where if you're a tourist, you can see and explore and visit the museums and the galleries and the temples if you're in Greece, or the temples in China, or anything beautiful to look at and explore as a tourist, then you have to say those things. We don't, unfortunately, say things like, it's a lovely touristic village. You say, it's a village which is lovely to explore. There are lots of things to see and to look at. If you want to use another word in English which is very similar to touristic, but it has a negative meaning, it is touristy. Touristy. So tourist with a Y on the end. Touristy. And that is a negative word. It has a critical meaning. It's a touristy city, it's a touristy place, it's really crowded, it's really busy, there's loads of tourists, I don't really want to go there. Now you might choose to go to a touristy town or a touristy museum because there's something worth seeing there, but remember that it's generally a negative way of describing something. The museum is really touristy, the beach is so touristy in Rio, let's go to a different place. So negative, touristy, touristic doesn't exist. You just say it's a lovely place to visit, to explore. Number 2. We've only got 2 left until I do the reveal. So number 2, we discussed about the project. What's wrong with that sentence? Anyone? We discussed about the project. This is not needed in English. We say we talked about the project, and that's probably why a lot of you English learners make this mistake. We talked about the project, we talked about our evening, they talked about their holiday, they discussed their holiday. No preposition with discuss. To discuss something. So keep that one in mind. Don't make that simple mistake. Now, are you ready for the king or the queen of English learner mistakes? Don't breathe yet. Okay, what is it? How is it called? Now this one makes me angry. Not really, but don't make this very simple mistake, which is very common in European English learners, because you have words like comment, como, come, vi. I can't remember which order the languages were, French, Spanish, English, Italian, German. In all of those languages, you say a structure, how is it called? And you use the word how in that language. In English, we have to use what. What is it called? And that's a rule. You can't use both. You can't sometimes say how is it called and then also say what is it called. So you went to a restaurant yesterday evening. What was it called? Not how was it called. The second thing you need to remember about this very common English mistake is that if you're trying to ask someone a particular word or a meaning in English, for instance, what is that word in English? Let's say someone says a word to you in German, Tisch. What is Tisch in English? You can't say what is Tisch called in English. Tisch means table. You have to use the phrase, how do you say Tisch in English? How do you say lámpara in English? You can't say, what is lámpara called in English? My Spanish is a bit ropey, but I think lámpara means a lamp or a light. But any Spanish speakers, do correct me. So, what is it called? Or how do you say that in English if you want to ask the meaning of a particular word? But don't say, how is he called? Or how is that restaurant called? Or how is that city called? Don't use how. It makes me very sad. Only for a short time. But there we have it. 8 of some of the most common English mistakes that you English learners make on a regular basis. And if you want to sound more native, more natural, then don't make these mistakes. That's it from me. I've been James. Don't forget to subscribe because I have got several more videos coming very soon. Click that red button down there and turn on the bell. This thing here, turn on the bell, which I can't draw a picture of. Ding, 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 ding. Turn on that bell and make sure you watch some of these videos here, maybe this one or this one. See you next time. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. It's the final countdown. Anyway, so these are mistakes that Italians, if you're from China, from England, from